exclusionary education systems. Cultural diversity remains marginalized in global governance, with indigenous knowledge systems, languages, and heritage under threat from extractive industries, market commodification, and system neglect. For the G20, cultural diversity is not peripheral, but central to inclusive development, conflict prevention, and innovation. Recognizing cultural rights strengthens democracy, safeguards heritage, and fosters equitable economies. These are the core recommendations. The G20 should require cultural impact assessment for projects, legal recognize communal land rights, and ensure indigenous representation in policy making. The G20 should fund community-owned cultural enterprises, language preservation, and support women as knowledge keepers. The G20 should rectify and implement UNESCO and AU cultural conventions, establish intercultural competence frameworks, and safeguard digital heritage. As highlighted in Article 1C of the UNESCO Convention on the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions, 2005. The protection and promotion of the diversity of cultural expressions is an essential condition for sustainable development and human dignity. The G20 should launch cultural exchange platforms, integrate indigenous knowledge into curricula, support grassroots-led policy innovation, and link cultural protection to climate adaptation. Support and fund local culturally competent LGBTQ+ movements that are leading legal reform and challenging harmful narratives from within their own cultural context. This policy brief outlines 6 thematic priorities: protection and restitution of cultural heritage, recognition and inclusion of indigenous peoples and traditional authorities, promotion of intercultural dialogues, support for language diversity and revitalization, cultural sustainability and climate change, practicalizing cultural embracement by advancing indigenous knowledge systems as well-being economies. Together, these themes provide a roadmap for embedding cultural diversity into G20 policy making, aligning with all the other declarations that have been made in the AU and UN. The working group calls on G20 leaders to recognize culture as a standalone pillar in global frameworks, establish a G20 Cultural Diversity Forum, and ensure that indigenous voices shape collective solutions to global challenges. Embedding cultural diversity in G20 policies is an act of justice and resilience, positioning culture as a driver of peace, equality, and sustainable development. Under the introduction, culture is a soul of human dignity, the foundation of identity, and a driver of inclusive economies. Yet cultural diversity faces systematic marginalization across governance, education, and development frameworks. In many global South contexts, colonial legacies disrupted indigenous governance systems, suppressed languages, and commodified heritage, reducing culture to a resource for exploitation rather than empowerment. The UN Special Rapporteur on Cultural Rights stresses that participation in cultural life is a fundamental human right. Colleagues, please allow me to skip some of the paragraphs. Thematic priorities and recommendations. The reason I'm skipping is because under these thematic priorities, there's still some bit of introduction in there. So I'll just have to skip that. Hopefully that you are getting where we are heading to. Colonization, conflict, and exploitation displaced countless artifacts, ancestral remains, and knowledge systems. Restitution is a question of justice, sovereignty, and healing. So here we are addressing the issue of colonization, because the G20 states that are coming to South Africa, some of them have our artifacts, some of them have been involved in genocides. Talk of Namibia, talk of Tanzania, talking of our kings, remains, our skulls that have been taken away.